Hello, it's Blue Orange 22. Um, so today's video, you can see the title. You know, am I a terrorist or am I a Nazi? And it's such a weird thing to even say, but it's something that is actually a very common perception about MRAs. And so today I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about like me being an MRA and like how that happens and like how I got into it and kind of all that just briefly. But it's this article that I saw. I put it in the link in the description below as always. This article that was talking about how there was a rise of right-wing extremism coming from the manosphere and talking about how the whole manosphere and like the men's rights political climate was producing these extreme right-wing young men, and then linked it to terrorism too, like the Charlottesville attack and mass shootings being young men, and kind of blaming like the manosphere for these angry young male shooters. And it's just like this whole thing now where MRAs are kind of like seen as being in the whole alt-right, far-right, white supremacist Nazi thing is just, it's just so insane to me, because I really feel like the world has kind of completely turned around. Because when I think of how I used to be in high school, right, I would have called myself a liberal, and my values haven't really changed at all. Like I support equal marriage. I support gay marriage. Um, I support basic equality for all. I'm someone who is pro-choice. I would support stem cell research. I believe in global warming. I'm anti-war. And I remember in high school, like supporting Obama when he was first running, and calling myself a Democrat. And I don't feel any different than I did back then. But now, because I say things like, oh, there's this issue where boys, they are getting lower grades, they're not getting fairly treated, and they're not going to college as much. And so men are more likely to be homeless, and men are more likely to go to prison, men are more likely to be unemployed, and men don't live as long. And all of a sudden, I'm a Nazi or a terrorist or I'm far right for saying that stuff, which is crazy to me, because you would think the same people who talk about being progressive and being equal and saying we shouldn't have oppressive gender roles or we shouldn't have toxic masculinity, they're the same people who say I'm far right and I'm an extremist and I'm hateful because I think that male victims of domestic violence should be treated equally. Like, that's just, it doesn't make any sense, like, at all. Surely if you were against gender stereotypes and harmful gender roles, then you would agree that, yeah, male victims can exist and they do deserve to be taken seriously. But it's like the opposite. And so here I am just basically saying, these are the things that I think. Here are some male issues. I support equality, and these are some places where it's not equal for men. And there are just some male issues we want to talk about. And when I do that, people tell me that I'm like an extremist. Or they say, well, MRAs are causing terrorism. Or MRAs are like white supremacists. And it's just like, what? Because that's so much the opposite of like how I feel, and that's so much the opposite of what MRAs say. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's just totally crazy. But that's what a lot of people actually think about the men's rights movement. And sometimes, like in my real life, when I tell people that I know, like at work or just friends or people I know like around my neighborhood or whatever, when I try talking about this stuff, sometimes they agree and they go, "Wow, man, I think the same thing, but I feel like you're not supposed to say it." But sometimes they're like, "Wait a minute, you're one of those MRAs, like you're one of those like Nazis or misogynists, and they're surprised because they have such a negative image of what MRAs are and who MRAs are. And that's kind of one of the things I want to do with this channel, is sort of explain, kind of show you guys just directly, here's me, this is my voice, this is what I look like, this is what I think, this is why. That's kind of what this channel is going to be about. Because I feel the men's rights movement is very misunderstood, and most people agree with what we say. They just don't know it because they don't really know what we say. So hopefully, if you continue watching this channel, maybe you can hear some of the things that we say, and I can show you, what we really think and who we really are.